must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Joining us, this is Diplomatic Clicks. My name is Mira Mugutu, and we are coming to you as usual from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. And on today's topic, we're going to look at the current crisis in Mozambique, the war in Mozambique. Does it affect Africa? And we shall see how this war has now spilled over, and not just in Mozambique, but other countries, and has started feeling the effect. And SADC had a meeting the other day to discuss this conflict, and so we shall get into the details of that meeting. And joining me on the panel this morning, I think I'll just take us straight to the Political Command Center, where Dr. David Matanga shall be leading us the rest of the show. Doctor, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Thank you very much, all of you viewers, wherever you are on the continent of Africa, in Asia, in South America, in Europe. This is Punchline Africa Television, the only television in Africa that talks about what ails Africa, what kills Africa, what can we do to change events on the continent of Africa. Africa has got a lot of difficulties that come from external forces that have always looked at dismembering this continent, putting sanctions on countries like Zimbabwe, destroying the economy of countries. You can see in East Africa, we are having problems coming from Tanzania. The problems, sanctions are being heaped on Tanzania. They are being told, you have to do this or else we shall dismember you. Looking at all these difficulties. In Kenya, we are being given restrictions. We are being told, you cannot move from point A to point B. No white person from America is allowed to come to Kenya, because Kenya, according to the American adversary, Kenya has sanctions, has got a COVID-19. But if you look at the COVID-19 tallies of World Health Organization, America has lost more people than Kenya. So who should stop the other from going where? These are some of the things, as we discuss, Miriam, why America can ban its nationals coming to a safer place in Mara and remain them in a zoo where more people are collapsing everything. If I were the Foreign Affairs Minister of Kenya, I would handle it in a robust way like Fidel Castro would have done. I went and saw in New York. Does somebody remember the Fidel Castro speech that he gave in the United Nations? Does someone here, let me hear the voice of the person who remembers the Fidel Castro speech, when he said, I have arrived at the center of imperialism. I am in this hall to say it, that my country is very small, but it is being squeezed by a country the size of the moon. But I'm here as Fidel Castro to say what I feel about the Cuba. Fidel Castro's first speech in the United Nations Security Council and the United Nations General Assembly. The house was full. The house was full. Do we still have Fidel Castro on the African continent to talk? No. We have Mafikizolos. We have blackmailers. We have people who want to blackmail people. We have those who want to pull Africans down. We are always ready for them. We shall always be ready for them. But are we the enemies of ourselves? The war in Mozambique would have not taken place had Mozambicans listened to my intelligence. 6 years ago, I wrote a document. One of the problems, Miriam, and the people on the panel, that being a black African and being a scholar in Africa, you have a problem with your own people. They would like to ask you for credentials. Where are your documents? I don't know. I don't know whether all of you receive the same treatment, Saxon and others. Where are your documents? But let there be a competition of a white man coming for the same job. White person, professor or doctor coming for the same job, which you are applying for. Documents will not be very necessary. Documents will be the thing of the past. They will say, oh, the tender has been closed and the other company satisfied the board. And therefore, the contract has been handed to Mr. Javani Karanja, the white guy from Nanyuki. And then you say, but I hold a master's degree from Canterbury University, from London Guildhall University. I have done tertiary courses in conflict resolution in colleges in London, North London University and other university. Surely you cannot give me a chance. They will say, no, no, no. I also went to Makerere University. Also, I went to Nairobi University and I tried this course. I have these papers. They say, no, Javani Karanja from Nanyuki has taken it. That is what Africa is. That is why Mozambique today is facing a problem. Had the Mozambican president Nyusi read my report, took my intelligence report very seriously, took the intelligence report, had Magufuli taken my intelligence report very seriously, may his soul rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. I went to Dar es Salaam and stood high as a Pan-African. You see, one of the things in this job, Miriam, being a Pan-African, you must say that you are doing some work, because everybody will come and say, it was my work. No, that I think Tawisha have suffered by people taking credit on my work. Time has come for me to say it was my work. And if you say no, I bring down the report which was published and I finish you. I gave them intelligence. I gave the ambassador in Nairobi, in Intercontinental Hotel. We sat down. I said, there are some formations of rebels claiming to be Total Oil and other, oil exploration, entry points. They claim to be Total Oil, but in actual sense, they are not Total Oil, they are mercenaries. Yes, and I went to Tanzania. Magufuli, rest in peace. The minister of Tanzania, Dr. Mahiga, took me to see Magufuli for 15 minutes. I spoiled my day. I spoiled the day when I mentioned that why should 400 men be digging a road to nowhere? Why should 400 men dig a road to nowhere? A road from Mutwara, from going to Ruvuma, Nachingwea, then there is no road coming from Maputo or Beira to join this road. So why are you building it for? You are building it to connect Africa, isn't it? But there must be a road also coming from Mozambique. So Saxon is an expert on this Mozambique. And I think what I'm talking is not very far from the part of the problems that have caused Mozambique to reach where it is. I spoiled my life by staying in Tanzania, by not telling me to. You could see the president was not very comfortable with me. He said, how did you know there were 400 people? I said, I saw them in Hyatt Hotel. All of them with shaven hair. And you know, Marines, if you have been in the army, like me, I can detect very quickly that Tawish is an army man. So I will be very careful. Not even to try to box you because you could taekwondo me. So these are some of the things, that features that tell you to live life. And therefore, it is very, very important for the people of Africa to understand that next time when a scholar on the African continent warns you, take heed. This problem in Mozambique of Al-Shabaab now growing into a bigger problem that could destabilize the entire southern region of Africa must be contained, and intelligence reports must come from where the origin is. The origin, and I put it on the table, the origin is Total Oil, America, and Shell BP. Full stop. You can go to heaven, ask Angel Gabriel to soften your edge, your heart, your mouth, so that you can see God come back to us. That is the problem. The oil and the gas, the hot springs that we have in northern Mozambique are the main cause of our problems that will spread to East Africa, engulf some of the East African states, especially if this problem grows in Pemba of Tanzania and the Zanzibar of Tanzania. We are slowly moving towards a conflict that could ignite several rebel activities, unsolved sovereignty states issue, which has been lacking because of so many factors, namely Nyerere's presence, Mwinyi's presence, now Mama Suluhu Hassan's presence, and so many others who have actually advocated for unity. Tanzania and that region, you remember the IMF told Mozambique to pay the money, all of it at once. Am I wrong, Mr. Saxon? They were told to pay the money, all of it. I am not saying, Miriam, the borrowing here, one day we might also be told to pay all of it. I don't know. We have done, I am now stating facts. I am aware, I've spoken to Chisano. I'm confident in telling you from the point of view, Chisano is my personal friend. At a certain stage, Mozambique was told to pay cash back because Mozambique and France, the countries that I missed out, France, represented by Total Oil, Shell BP, Chevron, and another one, Miriam, there is another oil company, that of the United States, which you know very well. Yes, that one. Those are our problems. It's not the rebels with guns. The rebels in guns are on the killing people. But the biggest problem of Africa are those companies, under which we must start looking at, expose them so that they don't bring us a long-lasting conflict that will drag in armies of Southern Africa and Eastern Africa. Of course, when Tanzania is attacked, Kenya will not sit and watch. Uganda will not sit and watch. We shall come, especially some of us who love Tanzania. At our age, we shall put on combat and go to defend Tanzania. Yes. So let people know that we are not here talking loud mouth. We can go and put on combat and do even gathering of intelligence to support the East African states. So the problem is an African problem. This Friday, therefore, Miriam, we discussed Mozambique. What does the war in Mozambique, does it affect Africa? Yes or no? The panel is Saxon from Zimbabwe, Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor. The crisis in Mozambique
wait, likely... I'm introducing first. Then I let you go. I know you want to go. Douglas Kirini from Nyeri, my bulldozer. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Masanga and the panel. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Olesisana Tawishi Samuel from Kiligoris, all the way in Narok. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. and the rest of the panelists. I'm glad to have joined you this morning.
Javani Karanja, the white man from Nanyuki. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. David Masanga. Good morning to our viewers wherever they are watching us from. And good morning to the rest of the panelists. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. International relations expert, the only man that swings around East and Central Africa and the Great Lakes region, younger generation being mentored, going for his doctorate very soon next year. Musa Abidi Haji Garuma Dido from Isiolo. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Thank you so much for having me here. It's indeed a good day, and I'm humbled to be on the panel. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much. I would like to see the face of the iPhone. And this iPhone should be Washera.
Good morning, everyone, Dr.
Yeah, people would like to see your face because we are more men than women on the panel.
I'm sorry, I'm having technical issues, but I'm here and I'm listening, and everything, sorry.
Okay, Washera from Kiambu in Nairobi, the woman who travels to Egypt, Israel, and balances Lebanon, then comes back, she is on the line. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Good morning. A very good work there.
Thank you. I hand you back to the studios in Nairobi for now smooth conduct of this debate, starting with Saxon.
All right. Just before Saxon, you come in. Despite vast natural resources and one of the world's biggest untapped offshore gas fields, worth an estimated $50 billion, the majority Muslim province is one of Mozambique's poorest, with high rates of unemployment and illiteracy. Organized crime syndicates, some are believed to be involved in the violence, and the political elites hoover up much of the wealth. So it's just a bit of a background of the Cabo Delgado, the province in northern Mozambique that is now threatening the peace, not just in Mozambique, but also might affect other countries across the southern part of Africa. Saxon, Zwima, what do you make of the current activities that have been going there in Cabo Delgado?
The current activities are a serious concern to most southern African nations, because Mozambique shares the border with Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Malawi, South Africa, and these nations, and partly Zambia. These nations are all vulnerable to these terror activities. And for us, like in Zimbabwe, we are more concerned because Beira corridor is our trade route, and some of these terrorists are said to be now in Sofala, which is close to Beira, which is the trade corridor. Like I've always said, these terror activities are a concern for Southern Africa, as this is just a pilot project of the West to destabilize Southern Africa. Because wherever there's gas, I think you've noticed we've got the terrorists. And the Southern African nations yesterday made a resolution that they have to activate the standby brigade to send in the troops to address how they can help Mozambique. Because they know that once Mozambique is affected, everyone is affected. After all, Mozambique helped Zimbabwe to be independent. Most nations which are independent were supported by Mozambique. And as Africans, we have to help the South Mozambicans to address the problem which has been caused by these multinational companies. The problem in Mozambique, gas was discovered in 2011, but only started having terror activities in 2017 when Exxon robbed in Halliburton to be part of the partner when they bought the ENI concessions. Why are we not having problems where the Chinese are? The Chinese are also mining gas in Rovuma, but we haven't seen anything. So that says, I'm going with the doctor, that these Total and ExxonMobil, they've got a say. They are causing this destabilizing so that they can loot the gas in Mozambique. So I think they are not even happy when they move by SADC that they are sending in the troops, because they know that they wanted to send in their own forces so that they do the Iraq way, they loot the way they did in Libya. I think Africa we have to be concerned and thwart these terror activities at their infants. Once the terrorists in Cabo Delgado are defeated, we are done. But if we don't take part in solving this problem, the problem will engulf the entire Southern African region. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, this region in the northern Mozambique, the Cabo Delgado, has an estimated natural resources of up to $50 billion US. That is just an estimation. And it has a nickname known as the Forgotten Cape, the region among Mozambique's most neglected, lingering near the bottom or almost every social indicator, is the most poorest. Did the authorities in Mozambique not understand that this was a ticking time bomb, looking at the factors there and the natural resources and the dominant, perhaps even religion there, which has played a factor just a little bit? But did they not know that this will be a ticking time bomb? And now we see what's happening there. Douglas Kirimi.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you for having me on the show. One factor that many governments are also underestimating is that when resources are mentioned, it becomes an hotspot instantly, because every time resources are involved in any situation, that is a time bomb, and also it is a good recipe for war and chaos, especially from people that would want to be able to exploit those resources in terms of extraction of resources, exploration of those resources, and also cutting away and taking them to their countries and also to the benefit of their own countries. So at the end of the day, the picture that should be painted to every government in Africa is that when resources are mentioned, that is a recipe for war, and you need to be able to prepare. You need to be able to prepare your government. You need to be able to talk to your allies so that before it becomes a full-blown war, before it becomes a case of interest when other countries are having an interest in your own nation. Today, SADC is having a talk, and also they are trying to engage and see how they are going to help the people of Mozambique. But that is not enough. Preparation is key, especially when resources are concerned, because Miriam, at the end of the day, history has been able to show us, even in Iraq, even in Pakistan, everywhere resources are mentioned, some people, some countries are going to come and they are going to rob you of your resources as you continue fighting a civil war that you don't know about. These people are going to continue exploring your resources and taking them. So I think it is also a wake-up call for other African countries to be able to now channel their energies, their military expertise and skills to be able to carry out their own experiments and also be able to carry their own research as far as their security, especially their national security, is concerned. Because today, Mozambique is a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations because of having resources. Those are God and old resources, but they should be able to protect themselves against external aggression and also external robbery of their own resources in their region, Miriam, for the protection of life and property of their country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Musa Abdi.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you for having me on the. I would like to go directly to the point on this issue of Mozambique, Miriam. I'm going to tackle the point and the agenda from the two perspectives. The first perspective, Miriam, is the perspective of the MNC's politics, that is the multinational corporations politics, Miriam. And these multinational corporations, as my brother Ekelon has said, it's about ExxonMobil, the Exxon Oil company, and Total fighting over this region, which is full of gas and oil, and it is becoming a forefront, Miriam. And when you've seen the value they are really estimating, Total is controlling $15 billion worth of the property. Exxon is controlling around $25 billion, Miriam. And when you look at politics of multinational corporations and you see what happened in Latin America in 2015, 2013 there, you remember the Gulf oil spillage, Miriam, whereby the British petroleum company BP was really blamed for the sea pollution, and they never took that responsibility unto themselves, Miriam. We are even going far. Let's go to our brothers, Nigeria. You remember the case of Ogoni people, Miriam? Ken Saro Wiwa really complained that there is high leakage of oil from Total Company, Miriam, in Ogoni region, and even said the region is not being developed.
It was Shell,
with despite having that essence of oil in that region and that Ogoni people, and even they lodged the case, Miriam, to International Court of Justice, and they were really awarded. And up to now, when the Nigerian government were tasked and they were told you should reward these people, they never responded. That is what is happening. And you've said, Miriam, there is some sense of exclusion. And when you say the religion plays a little part there, it might play even a bigger part. So Total, they are known for their exploitation. They are known for their poor corporate social responsibility, Miriam. And they are known for their, indelible representation of their nation's interest. You remember how they survived during the time of Sarkozy, Miriam. Secondly, I would like to tackle this issue from the religion point of view, Miriam. There is what we call sectarianism in religion and theology. They knew these people very well. These are Muslims. These are Muslim-dominated region, Miriam, as you've put it in your introduction. And directly going into this analogy is that the insurgency group, Miriam, which survived in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Iran and Iraq, they survived because they took advantage of the dominant population of that area. Miriam, the reason why Al-Shabaab is really driving in northern Kenya, it's because they have seen how the government has marginalized the Kenyan Muslims for the past 50 years. So they've told them, you're not getting ID, you're not getting jobs, you're not getting good roads, you're not getting health. The only way we can purge on you is by you accepting our demands. That is the very same thing, Miriam, happening in Cabo Delgado. These people are underdeveloped. These people have not been really well endowed with resources. And remember, one of the Al-Shabaab key pillars, Miriam, is expansionism in the name of what they call caliphate, or in Kiswahili, Khilafa. And Miriam, even behind that, there is another sectarianism war by Saudi Arabia. They have been exporting sectarianism war to Africa through Al-Shabaab. Remember when, Miriam, I will take you back when the Iran-Iraq war came about. Saudi Arabia were really astonished that the Shia Muslims were really taking over the world. So they had to do and counter by saying that the Sunni Muslims are going to dominate everything in what we call, Dr. knows, Wahhabism, radical Islam. Wahhabism is radical Islam. And what we are seeing in Cabo Delgado, the Islamic insurgency is now trying to arouse the Muslim-dominated population, Miriam, and by trying to tell them, on the issues of insurgency and trying to regain back their region as well. It has been happening with Boko Haram, Miriam, in Nigeria. Boko Haram, just what they did, they went to Biafra region. These Igbo community who have been secluded from the government, Miriam, who are trying to be part of government. So my humble submission as far as this is concerned, Miriam, NUSI and these multinational corporations should rethink, because once the war will protract, Miriam, it's going to Comoros, which is Muslim dominated. It's going to Tanzania, which is fairly having a Muslim population also. We are not only going to see war over resources here, Miriam, we are also going to see war over issues of sectarianism, and even to make it worse, Miriam, the war between religion now, the war between Christianity and Islam. This is where things are heading from a larger dimension, Miriam. I submit.
Thank you so much. And Musa, just for a correction, the company that was involved in the Niger Delta between the Ogoni people, that was Shell from Britain. And I think we had a case the other day.
Sorry.
Decided sometimes back last year. Thank you so much. But I totally agree with a lot of the things that you have said. And now we know that there's also an ISIS, Islamic State group in Central African Republic, and the DRC that is also has presence now in Mozambique, but homegrown extremist sect locally known as Al-Shabaab, or I don't know if I'll say that right, Musa. Seriously pronounced.
Yeah.
Al-Sunnah, while
you can call them
like that. Okay, is also involved in the violence, according to researchers, as are extremists from nearby Kenya and Tanzania. The connection between IS and ASWJ remains unclear beyond occasionally attributed attacks, and the killers have not produced a manifesto or put forward a leader with a clear religious message, leaving many to doubt their jihadist leanings altogether. So when you look at what has been happening there, it's not a very, I know we can draw in the religion there, but it has not been the strongest of the reasons as to why that has been used or that is fueling the conflict that is happening there in northern Mozambique. So I'm thinking, is religion just a cover-up of the bigger picture because you want to be told that that part of the country, the predominant religion is Islam, of course, and it's one of the poorest, so it's easier to just take advantage of the situation and radicalize a lot of young people. But there are also other factors, because religion is not really the key thing there. So is this being used as a cover-up of what exactly is the motive and what is fueling this war there in northern Mozambique? Jevan Karanja.
Thank you, Miriam, for the question and for the conversation that we are having, because things go bad when people fails to speak out or when they go silent. To me, I think the issue of religion might be a minor factor because, in Mozambique, we are talking of a country that is mostly at large is Christian dominated, and Christianity is the main religion. We also have Islam, and we have the African tradition religion. Mm-hmm. Therefore, to me, I will cause the issue of acquiring raw materials and for exploitation of raw materials by external companies as the main reason why we are having all these kind of dramas, push and pull, because they want to acquire these resources. And what we know is Mozambique, and especially on that north region area, is an area that is rich in titanium and gases and other help and high valuable resources. Therefore, this external exploitation by companies, I think, is what is giving the local people who feel excluded, who feel not in the arithmetic as the main beneficiary of this exploitation and all these resources. And Miriam, we know, even in colonialism, what the Europeans did, they came to acquire these resources because Africa is rich in these resources, but it was not for the benefit of Africans. Africans were used to provide cheap labor, and the aid benefit was not big compared to what the Europeans used to get, because they used to get these resources to go and field the industries in America and all these places. Therefore, I see also these things have not ended in the current times. We are having the same exploitation being carried out by these Europeans using this kind of collaboration with the locals who benefits, Miriam, because we understand, even when we had the colonialism, it was said that those people who collaborated with Europeans, they benefited, they went to school, they got resources, and their kids were having good lives. I see it as also a part of the problem that is happening, because we are having local Mozambiques who are collaborating with these exploiters for their own benefit, but not to benefit the locals. I see these people the locals who benefit, they cause agitation, they cause bitterness to the locals who are not benefiting directly. And that is why they are calling for more resources to be distributed so that also them can get employment, they can get these kind of benefits from these kind of resources when they are being exploited. Therefore, at the end of the day, Miriam, and this is something that we are suffering across Africa, is when the colonies come, they disrupted our way of life, our dignity, and our sovereignty. Therefore, it is hard to come back to reality.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. And Musa, you brought up the issue of multinational, companies that are there, ExxonMobil from the US, Total Oil from France and China. Also, and Saxon there earlier said that the section that China seems to be having a hold of, there's no chaos there. So China is just going on with this, activities there, but there's not a lot of in terms of conflict and all that. So it's quite interesting that these two places where ExxonMobil is and Total Oil is, has set up shop there. That is the place that we see the highest conflict happening around that area. There is an issue of displacement. The indigenous people who were uprooted from these places, the government did not care very much to resettle them, and they're forcefully removed to give way to these multinational companies to come and set up shop. And that is something that the government of Mozambique, I don't know if it has addressed very, very effectively. So when you look at that, and this other factor of religion, and this other factor of poverty, and this other factor that this place is the richest part in Mozambique, and yet the people there are the poorest. It is the most poorest part in the Mozambique. I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster that Mozambique just sat there and wait happen. I don't know what you make of that, Marlene or Cheryl. Samuel Tawish.
Marlene.
Thank you so much, Miriam, and the rest of the panelists. I've been listening keenly to the submissions made by my other panelists who have spoken ahead of me. And I think, Miriam, I can't agree more. And for us to try and find a solution, to try and see how we can have or handle this situation in Mozambique, we must first of all begin by diagnosing the problem in Mozambique. Because as you rightly put, and I think I concur largely with the rest of the panelists, that there are actually factors, underlying factors as to why we are having this conflict in Mozambique in the first place. And more of it is to do with the natural resources that are actually in that part of the country. You've talked about the natural gas. There's also gold, there's graphite, there are rubies, and many other natural resources that are actually in this part of Mozambique. And like we are saying, we need to find a solution. Really, Miriam, it's not about looking into the symptoms. You've talked about the people who are displaced, for example, or removed from that particular piece of land for exploitation of these resources to take place. You've talked about these people feeling disenfranchised or feeling like they have been neglected by their very own government, that not benefiting. I mean, there's poor infrastructure. There are no facilities, for example, education facilities or healthcare facilities. The roads are poor. I mean, these people are living in a very bad situation. I mean, their living standard is also very, very bad. It's very discouraging in this part of the country. So it beats logic, Miriam, that these people are actually frustrated, that these people can end up into being taken advantage of, because again, you know, when you in such kind of a situation, it is more likely that the outside forces, like my other panelists have put it, are likely going to take advantage of that situation to exploit not only the natural resources, but also exploit the people themselves. Because one, if they have not been empowered enough, even through education, they do not have basic education, they do not have skills even to exploit these resources themselves. So here you have invited the external companies to come and exploit these resources. And first of all, it's about their own interests. It's about the interests of these companies. As they exploit, they want to see how it's going to benefit them and to benefit their own countries before now they give us or they give that country the leftovers. So I think that is where the problem is. And unless we address that particular problem, Miriam, because again, like you are seated here today, Miriam, you go to your home, you go to your house, you find someone or a government has displaced you or displaced your community without even reason, or even if there's reason, there's actually no compensation. You'll be justified to take any action like these people are doing. But again, the problem now we are looking into in Mozambique is not more of really these people being agitated, but also the external forces taking advantage of that situation to try and amplify the situation, to try and make it worse. Because again, as the people of Mozambique continue to fight through these militant groups, then these external companies are able to continually exploit these resources for their own good. So we need to begin it from there. We need to begin from the point as to how are we going to exploit these resources ourselves. Is it the problem that we do not have the skills? Is it the problem is that we cannot set up companies that can exploit these resources? Because we cannot continually keep on blaming these other companies as though they come on their own volition. It is us who invite them to come to our countries. And if there's any way we can stop them from coming and we can exploit these resources for our own good, so be it. And if at all they have to come, if they must come because maybe we do not have enough manpower or enough machinery or enough skills to exploit these resources, then there has to be terms and conditions on how this is going to be done, so that much of the outcome, much of the revenue out of these resources is going to benefit the locals. So we need to see improved road infrastructure. We need to see maybe schools being built. We need to see hospitals being built. We need to see children going to school, and so many of other empowerment initiatives or projects being undertaken in that part of the country, because the feeling of being neglected also is actually what is fueling this situation as we speak today. So how do we ameliorate the situation? Because again, people have been displaced. Most of them have equally been actually been killed. There are those who are internally displaced, and there are those who have run for sanctuary outside the country. How do we deal with this whole situation? I mean, SADC is sitting pretty. They cannot continue buying time, yet the people are suffering, people are losing life, properties being destroyed. These people need to settle down like any other human being. It is not their mistake to find themselves in that part of the country. It was not their mistake to find that natural resources can be found in that part of the country where they were born. So it is incumbent upon the president of Mozambique and the leadership of SADC and the entire African Union to see into it before we even invite the external organs to come and address this situation. What is it we are doing internally? What is it we are doing as SADC? What is it we are doing as African Union? What is it that we are doing as a leadership of that particular country to try and address this problem? So I think we need to look at it from that perspective, Miriam, unless we want to deviate from the very core of the fact that people are suffering in Mozambique. And as we continue blaming these people, they continue to arm the insurgent groups in this particular region to continually fight as they exploit these resources. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we will get to that later from SADC. The SADC had a two-day meeting, and yesterday they issued a statement. So we will get to that into just a little bit. And in 2019, Russian mercenaries from the Wagner Group were involved also in the region. And most recently, the South African-based Dyke Advisory Group was believed to have been invited by the Mozambican government to help it fight insurgents. And a recent Amnesty International report on human rights abuses committed in Cabo Delgado implicated this group from South Africa, as well as government forces and the militants, in the unlawful killing of civilians. So you don't understand. The government is killing its own people there, according to Amnesty International. And the DAG, that group from South Africa, says it's investigating the allegations made against itself. Now, Mozambican's President Filipe Nyusi last year said that he will be open to speak with the insurgents as they have no overarching leadership. He has no clear partner in peace as things stand. So, President of Mozambique, Doc, there, I don't know if our Shera is there, but Filipe Nyusi thinks it's a good idea to have a conversation with these people. What do you make of that?
You can't have a conversation with somebody you don't know. Mm-hmm. This is an amorphous body that has not said who their leaders are, mm-hmm. what they want. Do they want to take out territory? Are they taking out territory out of Mozambique? Do they want to have a state of their own? Yes, the grievances that Tawish has said are many. And the true picture is the northern part of Mozambique produces the best for Mozambique, but it's neglected. Yes, we have also to go back and say the truth. These presidents go around marshalling and taking deals, tenders on gas, Chevron, Total, Shell BP. The biggest danger of all Africa, the entire Africa is the three companies you are talking about. If you miss that target, shut up your brain and go and sleep very properly in your house. The danger of Africa is Total Oil. The earlier we speak about it, the better. And Matanga, I don't fear controversy. I have evidence, intelligence, well-documented evidence, how Total Oil has dismembered the rest of Africa. I have evidence from 1967 war of Biafra, the Biafra-Nigeria war. Total Oil and the Shell BP took sides, dismembered that country. That country has never been the same till today. That country has been divided between the Fulani, the tall Fulani killers, masquerading as leaders, killing the Igbo of the South. I have evidence that in Total Oil in Cameroon, Total Oil is taking the oil at the expense of the nationals who are dying in other places. I have evidence that this is taking place.
Sorry, we apologize. Washera, please.
Can you switch off your phone?
Mute. Toy.
Or mute your phone, please. And be on standby to take up the lessons. We have
apologize.
that Paul Biya is using Total Oil to dismember Amazonians. Today, I am happy. I pushed this motion, Tawish, 4 years ago. It is now near the Security Council. Miriam, thank you. We did it. It is going there. You might hate Matanga, you might call me anything. But when it touches Africa, I will speak. Total Oil, Chevron Oil, Oxo Oil, Shell BP are the main cause, backed by their mercenary countries from the Middle East. One mercenary country from the Middle East is Saudi Arabia. The second mercenary country from the Middle East is Qatar. The third mercenary country that kills Africa is Turkey. Bring it on. And you call yourselves Africans sitting on a panel talking rubbish. We are talking, let's not talk rubbish. Let's tell these people the truth. When you see a minister of foreign affairs of a country coming on TV and failing, even his lips are mama, 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 shaking. You're my friend, Tawish, a whole person who is supposed to present a country's foreign policy, the lips are shaking. When it comes to some countries, to talk about some country, the lips start shaking before the voice comes out. Rubbish. What type of diplomacy is this? People are dying in Africa. And we cannot say, keep quiet. We have to say it. We are not saying we are not going to sanitize. We are washing our hands. We are keeping a distance. We have accepted the drugs. We have taken the drugs. We are taking the vaccine. But there are companies that are killing and causing us war. They looked, I told you, Magufuli had he listened to me, he would have checked that mistake. May his soul rest in peace. I was in Dar es Salaam 6 years ago. I swear my God is watching me. And I told Magufuli in front of Dr. Maiga that there is a group of Total Oil mercenaries who masquerade as Total Oil workers, but they will cause a problem for this region. Tawish, Miriam, and the rest on the panel, I have been telling you of a proxy war. There is a proxy war in the region. You don't know where it will land. And I know Kirim is about to laugh. You don't know how it will land, how it will arrive, but it is going to arrive. If it is your chance for you to be landed on, be prepared. It is a proxy war here. And some people in Kenya, when I talk like this, they think I'm a madman. There is a proxy war here. Have you seen? Don't you see that? Someone is creating a proxy war. Someone is telling someone to petition IMF. 200, 300 Kenyans wasting their time instead of going to the garden to dig and produce cabbage. Stupid idiots. People are digging cabbage and carrots. You are wasting time signing a useless petition. We Ugandans are proud. We have our food. No. We shall not die of hunger. No.
True.
Miriam, believe me or not, I'm not being very bad, but I'm being very aggressive. Kenyans, start digging for your food. Leave the social media acrobats of signing a petition. Computer will not feed you. Your thief will soon have no money. Zimbabweans are digging. Zimbabweans are exporting cotton, tobacco. This is a country you laughed at and said Mugabe had killed it. But it is rebounding. Rebounding. It is rebounding. Saxon, am I wrong? Saxon, am I wrong? Zimbabwe is rebounding. Am I wrong?
You are correct. You are correct.
Cotton, tobacco, food,
everything.
Flowers, rebounding. It is selling more flowers into Europe than now Kenya is doing. You are busy on the social media calling yourselves Kenyans on Twitter. Is it your Twitter? Is it your Twitter or the American Twitter? Rubbish. That we are signing. You will sign it to do what? Now IMF has given the money. What will you do? Go to your toilet and urinate. Because there is nothing you are going to do. Will you stop the money that you are calling? Go and dig. Hey, go and dig. Create farms. Create institutions. Create poultry. Create husbandry. Create ironing shirts. A small enterprise SME. Uhuru Kenyatta has created SME. SMEs to help you to borrow money to create an ironing in the club where you iron people's shirts like me, who is a bachelor, who is a single man. If I come to Nairobi, I need my shirts ironed quickly. You get that money from me and you build your future. But you don't go on social media, Twitter. Are you going to eat Twitter? Show me of you, how many of you eat Twitter? Do you eat? After insulting people on Twitter, your children are dying of hunger in home. Go ahead. Go on insulting people. You insult Matanga. My children are grown up. They are eating. They are feeding people. They are paying taxes in Britain. You go on. Did I create class struggle? Am I God who created the class struggle? Why do you come to me? Why do you insult me, for example? Why do you insult Uhuru Kenyatta? Did you create a class struggle? It is not Uhuru. It is yourself. The leaders in Mozambique are the people to blame. Yes. News goes on striking deals. How did he bring Americans? Now they are there. They are there. Why don't they want African Sadaka to bring a force? Because they want to generate a force to overthrow Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa, you be going to those conferences every day. One day you are going to find a coup at home. I am honest. Saxon, I've told you. What will Mnangagwa do to me? What will he do to me? He's my friend. And I tell the truth. You go, these guys are itching slowly to touch Zimbabwe. They are not on, my friend, Saxon, today listen to me. Their aim is not Mozambique. Their aim is your country. If you look at the latest intelligence, there are 2 places around Mutare and other areas where it is believed you have the biggest deposit of a certain mineral. You know it better. It is going to cause you the problem. That's what Americans want. And tell the government in Harare to hear. Forget about these people who hide. Oh, I have a secret. What security do you have? What? What is secret? What is one? Instead of telling the president the truth. Tell the president the truth. They are gunning for him. They will come for him. They want to draw him to take troops into Mozambique. Then export the ISIS into Harare to hit petrol stations, police stations, barracks. Watch! Watch! And Matame, you are watching me. Pass that message. If you think I'm talking stupidly, go and read my letter that I wrote about Libya in 2012. Go and read it. You write it for me in my English. Go and read it. Read that letter I wrote, pleading with the world that you will cause dead bodies. You will kill Libya. Miriam, we have a problem. The point you raised of neglecting the place, Cabo Delgado, has been neglected for years. This is not Renamo. This is not Renamo. This is not Renamo. This is a new format. After failing to overthrow Frelimo using Renamo, they now formed another axis called Al-Shabaab or Jeshi ya Suna. My brother's Jesh. Suna. Who supports the Suna? Where do they get the uniforms? Saudi Arabia. Why isn't Africa talking tough on Saudi Arabia? Is it because Saudi Arabia cuts people, shreds people, puts people in a shredder, in an embassy, in Ankara, and kills Khashoggi? One of these days, Tawish, when you visit Dubai, don't visit the embassy of that nature. You might have your body shredded. Who has the sanction? If Kenya shredded somebody here, wouldn't they put that Kenya under sanctions? But this is Saudi Arabia. It shredded a man called Khashoggi, locked him in a room, brought a shredder machine. It ate the man's muscle for minced meat, and took the minced meat and threw it in the Atlantic Ocean. We can't find the meat. The crocodiles or the hippos. Hippos don't eat human beings that are killed. Hippos swallow human beings. Did you know that?
No.
If you went with a knife in the hippo's stomach, you would come out through the ass. Because hippo, first of all, makes it weak for you, but it swallows you. Yes, Alcatraz. Thank you, brother.
How are you, Dr. Marzang?
Thank you very much. The point I was making, and I continue to make, it is not Mozambique, it is Zimbabwe that the Americans have been eating slowly.
Unafikiri alinyang'anya watu ile biashara ya gold huko minerals Tanzania zote alirudisha alisema pesa ngapi?
Professor,
Ndio hili jenga hiyo nchi kajenga hiyo viwanda vya ndege.
Professor, can you watch your yes, thank you. Anybody who's joining, please mute your device, please, so that you don't interfere. Yeah.
After missing the target by Renamo, they now invented another one called ISIS in Cabo Delgado. As said much earlier, and I want people to get the facts when you come on this show. The facts are very clear. Total Oil and Shell BP, they have caused the wars in Africa before. The Ongoni Delta situation in southeastern Nigeria was caused by Shell BP. Miriam, thank you for that correct. Total Oil has created an unstable Nigeria, such that when you have an unstable Nigeria, any country that is producing oil today must have insurgents, must have, very soon Uganda will have insurgents around the Masindi area to try to fight to destroy what Uganda wants to drill out of the Albertan region. It's called Albertine region. Can you tell me why Taro Oil, a British company, well connected in the British Empire, sells its shares and leaves Uganda miserably, running out with their trousers not in the knees, but well tied up in the waist? Can you tell me why Taro Oil is forced to sell its shares in Gamia 1, Gamia 2, Gamia 12, Gamia whatever you have, Onyari, across in Turkana? Can you tell me if that is what is happening in Cabo Delgado? Don't you think it could happen in Karamoja or Turkana? Look at 5 years to come. Will Kenya be able to mine this oil, grind it, drill it, export it without an insurgency being formed around the oil pipelines? You have now sold all the stakes to Total Oil, the main mercenary company in the world. There is no employee that you find in Total Oil except Kenyan and Ugandan, who are Karanja and Alisisana and Musa, who are selling the pipe, the petrol. But the real owners of Total Oil are either mercenaries or ex-intelligence officers of DSGE in France. Students watching this, take care. We are under siege. We are under siege. Tanzania is our neighbor, southern part of Tanzania, northern part of Ruvuma River. The civilian population is fleeing those areas. I have been to Ruvuma River. I have been to Nachingwea, the training camps for Frelimo and the Fronasa and the Chikosi Malum, 208 KJ of 1978-79 that liberated Uganda. I speak with authority. There is a proxy war. I submit. There is a proxy war in the region. And if you don't see it, look at the picture of Boniface Mwangi being hired a plane, which you cannot hire a plane. Can any of us on this panel hire a plane when we have rotten shoes? If you don't have even shoes to wear, can you hire a plane immediately? But Boniface Mwangi is hired a plane. And look at the number plates. Where was the plane being hired? Boniface Mwangi is an agent of the external forces that want to dismember Africa. He's used by George Soros to carry money from South Africa through South African Education Center, deliver to Chamisa, then come and deliver to Kenya, then come and deliver Uganda. Uganda comes and picks it in Mombasa. Look at that trend. Look at that trend. Me, anybody bringing chaos, even if you are in opposition, I'll report you. Because I'm a peacemaker. Yes. And Boniface Mwangi, we invite you to travel to Zimbabwe soon. We need to talk to you. If you are hearing, you are insulting Uhuru Kenyatta here. Travel to Mumbai. Travel! Try! Where? Aterere. Just shut your mouth. Boniface Mwangi this time fly the aircraft and deliver your legs in Zimbabwe. Enough is enough now. Yes. If Uhuru Kenyatta does not shout, the country is going to dogs because of this stupidity of people waking up. Boniface Mwangi was telling Ruto that Ruto is the biggest thief on planet Earth. How did Ruto become a friend of Boniface Mwangi? Was he bought? Has he been bought? And then Boniface Mwangi, I invite you to travel to Zimbabwe or go to Southern Africa again. Your activities, play them around here in South Uhuru on Twitter. Go and dig, get a farm and dig. Forget, some of us can be on Twitter because our children are digging. But your children are still eating mama's breast. You are also inciting people. At NGO in Nairobi, NGO, my fault. Alcatraz is waiting for you, Boniface Mwangi, to go and meet. You go and meet Chamisa, as you always do. But leave the wheel behind. Because they have known what you are doing, Boniface. Mwangi, you remember what you told me on the plane? You remember when we are on the plane, what you told me? I don't speak without evidence. You did not know I had recorded you. You pretended to be a very big activist who walks with without trousers and underpants. And then you say you can record people. Shut up. You said you'll overthrow Mnangagwa. You told me on the plane, and I was with my reporters. One of my reporters is in one of the television stations where you always frequent. We got you. You stood, I was in a business class, and you told me, you will come, this Mnangagwa of yours, you shall overthrow. Now, Mwangi, you go and collect that money from George Soros, from South African Litigation Center, carry it and bring it to Mombasa, that you have done, and then one stupid lumpen flies from Kampala to collect it from Mombasa. You think people don't know? Don't bring in, I want to disassociate very seriously. If this is a struggle to dismember countries in East Africa, I am not a party to this. And I'm going to warn this younger man. I'm going to summon him on phone if he doesn't want to come. Has he ever fought a war with me? This one. He has never fought a war with me. I'm very dead. I'm different. He hasn't fought. Tawish, what did I tell you? You can play music on my coronation. Did you know that, Kirimi? But you can't lead before me. You can't. Play music in my coronation. Think now, Miriam, you know what I'm saying. I've been there before. When you are even celebrating, wevale nyo mukuru, wevale nyo mukuru, wevale muneze muzei, President Muzei, wevale muzei. Kisa Besigye was saying, this is the true Pan-African. Museveni has turned on eating them. Have you ever seen Matanga praying, praising? Mr. Tawish, you have known me. Do you see me praise? Have I? Wherever the young say, wherever the young now say has turned on your music and eating it. Wherever the young. You know some of these things happening in our country. People at times say I shouldn't. Why am I not talking? I don't want to talk about them because Mr. Gerard Onyari, they are very painful. They are very interesting. The men who used to praise President Museveni, even making songs, are the ones who have turned themselves the so-called critic because they are being paid money by George Soros, but not Matanga. That's the difference. I give a credit where it is. I have never composed a song in praise of whoever Nyanzi. Nyanzi was praising Museveni. As a senior lecturer in Makerere, she was a good darling of Museveni, not Matanga. No, look at my records. Not a single day. The only day that United Nations Security Council, African Union, EU, my government in Britain, told me if you don't shake hands, you are out. Is the day I shook hands in 2008. I think Stephen has a photograph there. That's it. But me to praise wherever the yourself, wherever the Jangu, I come from a tribe that does not dance like that when you have been circumcised. Not me. I was circumcised in 1972. Where were you people? So I come to dance for you and I put every body of mine for you. Not me. No, no. I will die with the truth. I will stand for the truth. Total Oil, Shell, BP, Oxo Oil, the French, Qatar, Saudi Arabia are causing us problems in the region. Whether West, East, Central Africa, you will find one of these countries selling their uniforms. You will find one of these countries carrying diamonds. You will find one of these countries celebrating about human rights abuses. You will find one of these countries on the Security Council stopping any form of sanction against them. I rest my case.
All right. Okay. Alcatraz, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Miriam?
Very well, thank you so much. Nice to have you. So we've been looking at the issue in Mozambique, Cabo Delgado in particular, and we've seen what has been happening there. What do you make of these new developments there and the rising conflict that continues to even have more people displaced and more deaths being recorded there?
Yeah, definitely. From this information I have now, at least there are plus or minus 3,000 people have been killed. Mm-hmm. And it's a sad story for us as Zimbabweans. Mozambique is our neighbor, and we have brothers and sisters, a lot of them who are working there. Some of them have been reported missing, who were employed in those town of Palma and Kappa, working on those projects. Mm-hmm. But we proved to be a hooliganism of insurgencies. How come a neighboring country will be that insecure? In fact, the whole African security issues. And and Mozambique proved to be our example of that insecurity. Not integrated to fight for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We are prone to even neo-colonialism. We are in fact porous. We can't stand on our own. in Mozambique, it's a typical example. How come we can have weeks labs without finding a solution, a robust solution to Mozambique, to Mozambican insurgents? If we are Africans together, look now, people are dying, and there is no concrete of troops from the neighboring countries to stop these insurgencies and protect Mozambique as our brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. It's a sad story, and specifically for the Zimbabweans, but brothers and sisters in Mozambique, they did nothing effective to help them, to assist them in these trying times. I submit, it's a sad story to hear. Okay. The Mozambican thing.
Indeed, it's a very sad story, and the killings there have taken a new twist, where now they are just killing by beheading, especially the children there. So it's quite worrying and sad indeed. Thank you so much, Alcatraz. Marlene Washera, if you can hear me. Good morning. Oh,
Shera.
Okay, we'll just leave Marlene alone for today, and then I'll go back to Saxon Vima. Now, it is believed that...
Good morning. Sorry, Miriam.
Okay.
Yeah, you should... Wachera, please.
Yes?
Miriam has no much time, has very little time, please.
But so Wachera.
Be online.
Very well. So I don't know if you are familiar with what is happening there in Mozambique. If so, I don't know, what is your opinion on what is happening there?
Yes, Miriam, I'm very saddened about the situation that's going on in Mozambique right now, and I can't believe that. I'm sorry. I'm actually on a surgery right now. Sorry. All right.
Should I just take care of whatever it is that you're taking care of? When you're ready, we'll come back to you. I'll just move on to Saxon's Vima, because we don't have much time. Now, the president of Mozambique and the government of Mozambique has been accused that they waited too long before they started addressing this issue. Do you think that was intentional on Filipe Nyusi's side? Saxon
is not there. Bring in the professor.
Oh, Professor is there. Yes, Professor, good morning to you.
Unmute.
Thank you, Miriam, for that question. And the president of Mozambique has been living in denial. And that is the character of the African leaders. And there's this idea, you say that you are a sovereign state, that nobody should be able to interfere. And that's why I can see his comrades in the SADC countries are trying to say now that you should be able to have come forward so that we arrest the situation in Mozambique. And when you look, Miriam, and I want to give the analogy, you are asking the effects of the war in Mozambique, how it will affect. And I would like the analysis of Dr. Masanga. Miriam, when you are having a toothache, the tongue is always around the throat which is aching, Miriam. Any part of the body, Miriam, which is aching, that it means that the entire body system is aching. So any country in Africa, Miriam, having any unique problem, Miriam, one, it will be a very bad example to other African countries, because others will say that if it has happened in Mozambique, we can do it in our country. And Miriam, if you just go use a Kenyan case study of 2007, it was only for 1 month. And you saw, Miriam, how our economy, our GDP was affected. Imagine, Miriam, we were almost heading to double digits. It went back to zero, and we have struggled for the last 15 years or so now, and we are only approaching 5%. So in one way or the other, Miriam, it will affect the economies of around the countries in SADC, because it will have a ripple effect to the neighboring countries, Miriam. People, Miriam, it goes without saying that, Miriam, people will be displaced. You are seeing what refugees are doing in Kenya, Miriam. It came as a joke from 1991, it has become an headache and a menace. So Miriam, when people become refugees, Miriam, you know what will the terrorists will be able to do? They will be able to organize their activities around that region, Miriam. Miriam, it goes without saying, Miriam, it will cause instability in the region, Miriam. Peace will be affected, Miriam. So Miriam, unstable Mozambique is good for the region, Miriam. Unstable Mozambique, Miriam, is unstable for the region, Miriam. And we are saying this, Miriam, that if we are not very careful, what is killing Africa, it is because of our resources. The oil, the gases, Miriam. You know, Miriam, the oil in the Middle East, Miriam, is getting depleted, it's getting finished. Which is the next frontier, Miriam? It is in Africa, Miriam. Dr. Masanga has given analysis. The countries which have oil, Miriam, there is no stability in those countries, Miriam. And that's why the people know, the Western countries people know, Miriam, that when you have oil, it is theirs. In 1977, Miriam, Henry Kissinger, who was the state secretary for United States of America, he said the continued misbehavior of countries from the Middle East, the possibility of war cannot be ruled out. So Miriam, this is what's happening to Africa, Miriam. What's happening in Mozambique, Miriam? It is their oil. That's what's causing instability, Miriam. Miriam, you talk about ISIS. These are people who are supposed to be around Syria and Iraq. How have they found their way to Mozambique? We are not neighbors. How have they found Miriam? There are some people who are taking care of the Indian Ocean. How did those people found themselves in that region, Miriam? So Miriam, what I'm trying to see, Miriam, when there is instability, people are not able to work, Miriam. Diseases will come in, poverty will come in, Miriam. Miriam, there will be anger in the region, Miriam, because people will be running for their safety and for their security. So Miriam, it is a sad story, Miriam, and the thing I'm recommending to African countries, Miriam, this continent belongs to all of us. And whatever happens, Miriam, we have to work as a team. So the president of Mozambique, although late, may he listen to what the SADC people are talking about, so that, Miriam, we approach this conflict with a concerted effort. Otherwise, it is going to spill, and Africa is not going to be the same. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Jared Onyari. Seems as though you were at work today. Douglas Kirimi, is the military solution there the right solution to this conflict there in Mozambique? We saw the U.S. Is training Mozambican soldiers to best enable them to deal and address this problem there. But is a military solution the right way to go? Douglas?
Thank you, Miriam. One thing we need to be able to understand is that the problem has already escalated, and we need to be able to come together and with a concerted effort and be able to curb the problem in Mozambique. Yes and no. Yes, military is a solution because already we have Al-Shabaab permitting the grounds and also the land in Mozambique. We have people, machineries who have been paid by Total well in Mozambique. People who are destroying lives in Mozambique. So we need to be able to root them out and then be able to integrate those communities, the voice of the local communities that have been long forgotten. The government in Mozambique, led by Filipe Nyusi, need to be able to bring those communities together and engage them, because they are also a breeding ground. I think it is Musa who said they become a breeding ground for the Al-Shabaab and other machineries to be able to take advantage of the people. And also Tawish said the same. To be able to integrate these people together, we need to first take and also bring in the military action. After the military action now, the next step is pacification of peace and also development to these communities. It's about time they brought roads to those people. It's about time they brought development to those people. It is about time the government and other agencies that are concerned about the people of Mozambique pacified everything and brought peace as it pertains to the people of Mozambique. Because Miriam, at the end of the day, we are dealing with a very dangerous cabal in Mozambique that is going to spill over to other countries. It's going to spill over to Zimbabwe. It's going to spill here in Kenya as far away from Mozambique, Miriam. When this issue of Mozambique comes into play, it does not only affect the people of Mozambique or even Filipe Nyusi government. It is affecting affecting the southern and even eastern African countries. Remember, they are using Al-Shabaab in Mozambique, they are using other extremist groups to be able to continue bringing the chaos that we are experiencing today. And also, Miriam, for America to be able to train the military and all that, it is good for them to be able to stamp the authority in the region and also be able to bring order in the region. Because Miriam, the people that we are dealing with, BP, Shell, and also Total, well, these are dangerous cabals. These are very dangerous cabals that should be dealt with viciously, and so that the people can be able to get an opportunity to get their lives back. Children can be able to go to school, and also women can be able to get back to their families and build their families. Another perspective on the same is that if this issue is not dealt with a military force, Miriam, it is going to spill over to other countries, and if it spills over to these other countries, it is going to bring even problems here in the country, in our republic here in Kenya, in Tanzania, in other countries. Remember, Mozambique is a bit far away, but it is not far away as far as our security is concerned. Our regional common ambitions are concerned. So we need to be able to deal with these issues and deal with them boldly and courageously. What we are dealing with today is a monster that, if it is not cut into pieces, if it is not dealt with, it is going to spill over to the region, and it is going to become a regional issue. And at the end of the day, that is what everyone else does not want, Miriam. As far as we are concerned, as the people of Africa, military action, yes, it is good, but the military action should not be prolonged. Military action should not pre-exist the peace that was there before, should not pre-exist the people and their needs. Military action should not be able to pre-exist the common ambition of the local people where we have those resources. And also we should also have a clear roadmap. The people that are going to work on the issue in Mozambique, they should have a clear roadmap how now they are going to protect their resources from Euro robbers and even from Anglo robbers, Euro robbers, and even American robbers who want to steal their well resources, Miriam, and continue defranchising the people of Africa and bringing chaos. For us to be able to fight for Total Africa, for us to fight for BP, for us to be able to fight for Shell, we should not be able to be put, we should not be put into a war that we know nothing about, because they want to steal the well resources that God gave that particular country. And Miriam, if it spills from Mozambique, it is going to come in the proxy war that we are experiencing in Indian Ocean. It is going to spill over and bring problems to the people. So it is high time the chairman of East Africa Community, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and also Kenya is also in that committee of security in Africa. They should now be able to move with the speed and help other regional players to be able to come together and develop mechanisms of bringing total peace in Mozambique and eliminate the cabals that want to steal the resources in that region and bring chaos in that country, Miriam. The chaos are already there. They want to continue escalating that as they continue stealing and also extracting the resources in the region. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. Very well said there. So earlier on, I asked a question which I don't think was really answered there very clearly. President Nyusi last year suggesting that he wants to hold talks with the insurgents. McHugh, there's no clear leader who has come out, and as we have seen throughout this conversation, there are different insurgents in that group. We see the IS, we see the Al-Shabaab, we see a group from Central African Republic, we see a group from the DRC, that one from that came from Mombasa, can you remember? That were being led by Abu Rogo. They have been mentioned there. A bit of them are migrated to Mozambique and some from Tanzania. So it's just a cocktail of different insurgents groups there. So there's no clear leader of any of those groups. But President Nyusi last year suggested it will be a good idea for the country to have talks with these extremist groups. And on Thursday, after 2 days of meeting between regional military and security officials and heads of states, the Southern Africa Development Communities, that is SADC top 6 leadership, called for an immediate technical deployment to Mozambique ahead of another high-level meeting at the end of April. Legally, the body can intervene. SADC can intervene militarily in cases of interstate conflict like this one. But, Musa, what is very interesting is that Mozambique has so far been very unreceptive. Mozambique has not been seeking for this help. And of course, President Filipe Nyusi has been accused of taking too long to address these issues. What is really happening there in the leadership of Mozambique and the conflict that we now see there in Mozambique, Musa?
Thank you, Miriam. And just to go directly to the point, Miriam have highlighted how there are two defining interests here. The interest of multinational corporations, this Exxon Oil, the Total, Miriam. And now I've also talked about the sectarian war, which is being funded by Saudi Arabia, Miriam. And when I say sectarian war, I want to speak about radical Islam, which they call in theological terms Wahhabism, which has been exported from Saudi Arabia. They did it in Pakistan. They did it in Afghanistan, Miriam, after the Afghanistan war. And now what is happening here, Miriam, is that a terror group cannot declare its leader just direct like that. First of all, what they will do, they will come with what we call Khalifa. Khalifa is in an Arabic name called Khilafa, Miriam.
From London.
So they will bring that notion, and then after that, Miriam, after they have established what we call Islamic State, they will use what is currently happening in Kenya. Miriam, 90% of terror attacks in Kenya is being...
Musa cannot hear us because he has to... Musa, just hold on. I hear there's a caller from London.
Yes, there is a caller from London. Sir, what is your contribution? Miriam is ready to take your call.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. You say your name and where you are calling from.
My name is Sidoni Jivandas. I'm calling from London.
Oh, Sibanjo, the gentleman who has been writing on our chat. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to contribute to this topic, and it's not a new topic. I'm sure in your programs you have been following, you've been talking about the same exact issue that is creating instability in Africa. Oil has been always a curse. It's always been an issue. And when we've got examples from Kenya, all these kinds, every day we're talking about this in your channel. Somewhere, somehow, the oil is linked. So the case of Mozambique is another case like Somalia, like Mali, like all those places in Africa that oil is been always a curse. So the issue here is what needs to be done. I think it's not the issue that Mozambique can solve itself. Because we have seen in Somalia still fighting exactly the same. All the countries are still doing exactly the same. So the big issue here is how can we tackle this? I understand about this insurgent. There are so many interests in the north of Mozambique. And to be honest, the civilian, they didn't start because of the oil. Don't forget that, it started when they discovered the ruby mine. It's when all the people started being displayed for their own places. There were a lot of issues with the ruby mines in the exploration in the north of Mozambique. And also, if you look at who are the people who are involved in all these activities, and who are the shareholders. And when you find out that the shareholders are all the generals from the party, and most of them are from Capital as well. So it is a very complicated issue. I do agree with you when you say that this is quite external force. Of course it does. We know that. Where is Total, where is oil exploration? It's always going to be the issue. But this is the way they're managing to destabilize Africa, and we keep on talking about exactly the same issue. But in fact, what needs to be done to overcome this issue?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Savio.
Jivandas, Sidonio.
Miriam, do you have any questions for him?
President Nyusi have been accused of really being slow in accepting even help from SADC. Why does he think that is the case?
You heard the question?
Can you come again, Miriam? Sorry.
President Nyusi
has been accused of being slow in dealing with the issue, and also he has been reluctant of accepting military help from SADC. Why do you think that is the reason?
I think he's been slow because maybe he thought that, he's trying to be cautious about this issue because he doesn't want to see what happens in other countries where we had the American and external forces coming in. But also he was trying to use the private defense to try to take control over. But we see that there's no communication between the private companies with the Mozambican military. Mozambique doesn't have capacity in terms of military to try to fight the Syrian by itself. It's true, but it's been slow. I think he has realized now that he needs to talk with SADC, because this is not the Mozambican issue, this is a region issue. And even Tanzania here has a big role to play, because don't forget that Palma is a lowland, because you find Tanzania on one side, Mozambique on the other side. They speak the same language, they're all Muslim. The majority of the people in Qatar are Muslim. I've lived there, I know very well the area. So I know the area very well. So there is, because you ask yourself, how come all these institutions, they managed to come all the way to the Indian Ocean, up to Tanzania, I mean, Tanzania, I don't make any comment. There need to be a cooperation within the SADC region to be able to overcome this issue.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
I think before Musa comes in, let me make one point very clear. While Mr. Savido is here. Miriam, you have asked a very cardinal question. Why is Nyusi very reluctant to accept help? The answer is very clear. Nyusi is part of the problem because he has allowed multinational companies already to sell, to buy this natural resource. So now, if you allow external countries to come in, they will be fighting the same people whom you actually allowed and they paid money to you, to your personal accounts and other places. So the answer is very simple, Miriam. Conflict of interest. You cannot now, you see yesterday when SADC said, we are crossing over, Mr. Nyusi's trousers started shaking because they are going to meet. The other people are going to say, we told you not to allow SADC to come in. Now you have allowed the SADC to come in. We need our money back. And this could actually, Zabindo, I am not wrong on this. This happens in Africa every day. We need our money back. And if Mr. Nyusi says, I don't have the money, they could do him the Kabila, the city Kabila. You remember what happened to the big Kabila?
Yes.
Over mining rights in Congo? After taking money from the other company, he went and took money from another company. Then he said he doesn't know all of them. And you see what happened to Kabila. This is one of the problems that we in Africa don't speak out. We are problem ourselves. We create this mess ourselves. Someone has sold the gas, the hot spring, the oil, the what in the Beira enclave. They have been mortgaged already. Look at our oil in Uganda, for example. Our oil in Uganda, before you dig 1 gallon out of the soil, it has already been sold to China. So do we know how much oil is in the ground? Have we become God? Are we God? That you go deep in the oil, the ground, down 200 miles, and find how much China should pay you. These are the obstacles Africa is facing. Do we bring a war ourselves, our doorsteps? Miriam, on conclusion with Savio online, the problem Nyusi cannot even raise a finger. I encourage SADC, the armed wing of SADC, to swiftly move in, counteract these rebels, capture some before they make a stronghold, before they receive their shipment again from countries that have been mentioned. How do they get this new uniform? How come this uniform looks like the uniform of Saudi Arabia? Who is funding these guys? Another problem is emerging in DRC Congo. There is a problem where rebels in DRC Congo are saying, we are going to take you on. And then there is this cable line being laid from Beira, in the port of Beira, through Congo, to Congo, Kinshasa, and Lubumbashi, by a telecom called Liquid Telecom. Who is behind Liquid Telecom? Who is the owner of Liquid Telecom? You look at who are the shareholders of Liquid Telecom. These are some of the things the international system, regional intelligence networks, must sit down and analyze properly. Otherwise, Miriam, I submit again to this panel. There is a proxy war. Musa, Abidi, Haji, Garuma, Dido. You were Muslim on Friday. You are about to go to your church, your mosque. I want to tell you frankly, my brother, we have a problem at our hands. Back to you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'm taking the last submissions now. So for the rest of the panelists who have not had their second chance in talking there. Musa, I'll start with you. President Nyusi, he could very well have received military help from SADC, but he has not been very receptive in getting that help. And also he's been accused of taking too long to address this situation that has completely gone out of hand. What do you make of all this?
Thank you, Miriam. And just to be brief, Miriam, I was speaking about this aspect of radical sectarianism, Miriam, and maybe the issue cannot be, that running out of hand, or let's say in a way that it is not becoming that bigger. But also sectarianism war, Miriam, is a proxy war. And when you see anything to do with the Islamic State, that is Jaish al-Ulma, they call themselves in Syria, not Jaish al-Nusra. When you go to Somalia, they call themselves Al-Shabaab. Miriam, these people, they will take advantage of a local population which is really deprived of all those opportunities and come in. Mm-hmm. And so one of the reasons you've asked me about Nyusi, Miriam, is you can't compare military capability of Mozambique and that of Tanzania and Kenya. Their military capability is really down, and that are some of the reasons which have really made these insurgencies to really, even now, threatening to go into Pemba area, Miriam. Secondly, Miriam, there is a region called Mokemba de Praia in that region of Mozambique. Mm-hmm. Mokemba de Praia for the past 40 years, Miriam, has been a transit corridor for drugs, narcotics, mm-hmm. to the southern part of Africa, and especially South Africa, mm-hmm. whereby the drug is refined and then it is shipped to Western Europe via Atlantic Ocean. So when you see insurgency turning back into a terrorism and then being helped by this smuggling, Miriam, there is no way you can say it's only internal forces doing this. External forces must have a hand, Miriam, as far as this is concerned. And so we are seeing a lot of dynamics developing in Mozambique, Miriam, but my humble submission is Mozambique should be afraid of what we call sectarianism war. Saudi Arabia exported it in Pakistan. After the Iran-Iraqi war of 1988, Saudi Arabia exported it, Miriam, to Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia indirectly created ISIS, Miriam. They created ISIL, the Islamic State of the Syria and the Levant. They created Al-Shabaab in what we call radical Islam, or in another name, Wahhabism. And when I see the tactics of what is happening in Mozambique, I see the very embodiment of Mohammed bin Salman. I see the very embodiment of King Abdullah Saud of Saudi Arabia, Miriam. And so we should be very careful. Maybe the war of multinational corporations, it will come, Miriam, and things can be solved. Maybe SADC can take a hand in this and tell Total, and tell Shell, and tell, ExxonMobil, Miriam, and the Chinese one, that they should just have a consensus on this. But let us be warned. It began this way in 2007 in Somalia. It began this way in 1990s, Miriam, in the Gulf of Yemen and in areas of Iraq. Let us be careful. We are fighting a proxy war. We are fighting a sectarianism war, Miriam. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you so much. Musa Abdi Haji, all the way from Isiolo County there, an international relations student, and also, political science student as well. Thank you so much. Chief and Karanja.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for the contributions that are being made. And I also agree. And you asked the question, why the president of Mozambique is not willing to get the army from SADC. Mm-hmm. And on my previous contribution, I said that these governments, what they do, and these external companies, they get some local people who collaborate with them, who are paid to get resources. And these local people who collaborate with these external companies, they have connections with the government. They are protected by government. Therefore, there is no way the president will be willing to bring an army to disrupt his team that is working collaboration with these external factors, to disrupt his people who are making money from this dubious mining process and exploitation of national resources, when the government is the corrupt ways the government is benefiting with in part of these wars. Therefore, I don't see the political or the goodness of the political willingness or the goodness to have this army coming to disrupt these things, because we know, Miriam, when army comes in, they disrupt everything, whether you are connected, whether you are not connected, really, but they come and disrupt everything, and the locals are given a chance to start their own destiny. Also, Miriam, we need also to look at the issue of the poverty. I think the government of Mozambique should be more concerned to bring diversity, to bring new ways to eradicate poverty, because the reports that we have, there's an increasing poverty in Mozambique. And Miriam, when you deal with this issue of poverty, creating jobs and taking these people to school, and also providing healthy services, Miriam, and as they say, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. There are a lot of issues they need to deal with, and to ensure also these people are well. Because, Miriam, when you are illiterate, you are not healthy, you are not going to school, Miriam, it's easy to be used even to join these groups like Al-Shabaab and other rebel groups. Also, Miriam, the most important issue to me, I think, is the involvement of the locals when the government is bringing new project. It should involve the locals. It should be a public participation so that the locals can chart their own destiny. They can bring their own contribution on how they want their resources to be distributed equally across the country. To me, I think that is very vital and important to ensure that the people of Mozambique are at peace, and they also need to have a peace agreement between all these people who are bringing these skills so that they can chart their destiny together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Samuel Tawish, SADC legally can come in and intervene militarily in cases of intrastate conflict like we see right now in Mozambique, but President Filipe Nyusi has been quite reluctant in accepting that help, but he has accepted help from the US to come and train its soldiers and help it. Quite interesting. Why do you think this is the case?
Well, thank you so much, Miriam, for that question. And I think to begin with, much as we really pity with the situation that is happening in that part of Mozambique, I will necessarily not take actually the military intervention as an option as at now, because again, like I said earlier on, and I think it is important for me to re-emphasize this. It is critical for us to look into the issues that is actually bringing this conflict in the first place. And when we're in a position to look into these issues and see how we can exhaust all available opportunities, available mechanisms to try and bring or restore calmness and peace in that particular region, it's when we can now call for a military intervention, because military intervention as it is now and with the current situation could be counterproductive. Because it's not enough, because violence, only begets violence. And if we continue that way, then we might not see actually peace that is elusive in Mozambique today. We've seen the problem of economic social exclusion that has been highly spoken about by other panelists.
So, Tawish, sorry to cut you. So if military intervention is not the solution, President Filipe Nyusi last year suggested that perhaps talks with these insurgent groups will be a solution. So would you advocate for that, for the government to talk with these extremists?
Well, there's something that Dr. Masanga did mention earlier on, and I think it is important for me to allude to it when he spoke of, it is not possible for you to talk to an amorphous group. We are only talking about the groups, for example, ISIS or Al-Shabaab, or it's called Al-Ahula Sunnah or something of the sort. I can't quite pronounce it well. These are groups that are amorphous, groups that do not have a clear identity as to who exactly are we going to talk to. Do we have a leader? Do we have people who are going to talk on behalf of those groups? Maybe it's something that has not yet been established. But like I said earlier, it is not necessarily about those groups that are fighting. The question is, what is the problem? I mean, let's not look at the symptoms, because the symptoms have now led us to the fighting that we are seeing. We have seen the loss of life. We have seen displacement of people, property being destroyed, people actually living as IDPs in their own country, others fleeing their country, looking for sanctuary outside their own country. So the bottom line is, then how do we find a solution to the problem? And before we find a solution to the problem, the question is, what is the problem? Because maybe that's the pertinent question that we are not asking these groups that are fighting. What is it that is actually motivating them actually to engage in these illicit activities that is actually costing Mozambique, and particularly costing the lives of these people in this particular region? So military interventions may not necessarily be the option as at now, unless we exhaust other options, including, if, for example, it's about economic disenfranchisement or exclusion, what is it that we can do? Because this is actually deeply ingrained in Cabo Delgado. So rather than simply relying on militaries, let us see on how we can have a comprehensive approach that brings about developmental projects and programs, for example, in building education, healthcare infrastructure, roads and bridges, so that people can be able to participate in other activities and be able even to sell the products or the produce that they produce. Because again, I remember there was a time when we were having shows like this one, especially on the case of Kenya, the Turkana axis. We are asking ourselves, how can we stop the fight in the Turkana triangle? Yeah? But the question, the response, I think, and Dr. Masanga contributed hugely on this by saying, we need to look into how we can empower these people in their mind, in their hearts, and also in their stomach. Because if people do not have food, they are likely going to be exploited to fight. Maybe they are hungry. If these people have not been sensitized, or they have not been empowered enough, then the problem is in their minds. If the problem is about maybe these people are feeling like there are certain things that the government needs to do in terms of job employment, or feeling like they have been excluded or neglected in the running of the affairs of the country, the government, what is it that the government of the day can do to address that problem? So let's begin from there. Unless then the President Filipe Nyusi tells us that he has exhausted all those avenues, that he has addressed the concerns and the grievances of the people of this particular region, and nothing is bearing fruit, is when we can say then military intervention in this case will be the only option available for us. But as it is now, let's look into other approaches that are not really severe, that which cannot maybe bring more harm again to already volatile situation in Mozambique. Miriam, I submit.
Very well put, Samuel Tawish. And of course, you brought up the issues of systematic poverty, inequality, marginalization that has compounded now. Some of the key basic factors there that perhaps have helped for this conflict in Mozambique. Tawish, thank you so much. Alcatraz, are you there?
They are not there, Miriam.
Okay.
I think I'm the only man left. Or is it Douglas?
Douglas already gave his submissions there.
We are also here, Doctor.
I'm the only one left to make my
to make your submission. No, okay.
I think Professor has rejoined, so maybe I'll hear from Professor, or you can talk on then Professor.
Professor is not also available.
Okay.
Professor was actually using a makeshift office. He was running between his office and another office, so he must have left. Miriam, in the final analysis, this is a good debate, a good engagement that we need to see. You can see towards the end, everybody has jumped in. They want to see what exactly is in here. And unfortunately, we seem to be leaving the subject at the handing over ceremony. But Tawish raises very disturbing end to Miriam's question. A disturbing end that Nyusi and Tawish seem to be now buying Mr. Nyusi's one shot, another shot of Mr. Nyusi. Because he says a military solution, that is what Nyusi has been saying. A military solution will not be all right because Nyusi already has pocketed the money Tawish, there are two things of ending a conflict, or three. If you remove one of them, the conflict will go on. That one I taught you long time ago. You remember? The head, the heart, and the stomach.
The stomach.
Omutwe, omutima, no lubuto. If those things, whatever language you can use, if those three components are missing, if one of them is missing, the war would not end. So what is the best alternative? This is what Miriam was looking for. The answers, he wanted you to say something to please all of us who have one route towards Jerusalem. We are not returning to Damascus. Sorry. We passed Damascus. We passed Jericho. We want to face the enemy head on. I fully support SADC. I fully support SADC and the East African community, if Tanzania is touched, to move in from the top and squeeze these terrorists in the middle, to kande hawa, to kande, to finye, throw them to Indian Ocean, then bring what you want, Mr. Nyusi, with your shirt, with your Maputo shirt together. You can now share your shirt with the news. We have no problem. But we are not going to keep quiet and say we negotiate with these guys. Amorphous body. You don't know who the leader is. Who is their leader? At least Boko Haram, there is a man who is a leader. At least Boko Haram. Do you remember, Miriam? Buhari said, give me 100 days. I will crush Boko Haram. That was his motto and his manifesto pledge. 100 days passed. Mr. Buhari became a conduit of carrying sacks for Boko Haram. Boko Haram grew up in northern Nigeria. Musa, the place is called Maduguri. Maduguri in northern Nigeria next time is not in Igbo land. Maduguri is in the north, in the Sahel region, across Djibouti, where they sold the triangle trade, where the kingdom of Ayo, Benin, Ashanti used to deliver goods to the port of Carthage. The current name of Carthage is Tunis, for people who want to know, so that tomorrow you are more knowledgeable. Now, the problem there is Mr. Buhari became like a Mr. Nyusi. When the army wanted to go in, Buhari said the army is not well equipped. When the Americans wanted to go in Nigeria, Buhari says we have capable army. You remember the Boko Haram continue abducting children today. To date, it is dangerous to have a girl in northern part of Nigeria. They will kidnap her, use her as a slave, a sexual slave, or kill them. Nyusi is playing the game of what African leaders who have eaten with the stomach would not like the heart to be injured and would not like their heads to be misused. Mark you like it or not, that is the area, Miriam, where we have a problem. Tawish, yes, you can remove a conflict by giving food, but how will you begin giving food when you haven't separated even the terrorists? You can now separate the terrorists and bring peace and order first. Then look at what brought the root causes. The root causes of why Al-Shabaab is in the desert fighting Mogadishu. They have not even told us what they want. They simply say they want Sharia law, to behead people, to cut people's arms, to whip people, to stone them to death. That's what we have. And therefore, I agree with the rest of the panel. I equally balance Tawishi's argument was based on previous previous encounters, like in the FARC army in Colombia, the IRA in Northern Ireland, the LRA in Uganda. It had leadership. The FARC army, the FARC rebels of Colombia had leadership. The IRA in northern Ireland had the leadership to talk to. But what do you talk to a man, people who have just arrived on the scene, Miriam? They are slaughtering people. They are wearing uniforms from Saudi Arabia. They have new arms. The hotel, the business, the cartel, the Shell of BP buys the hotel, protects the hotel. The intelligence down there coming from there is very disturbing phenomenon. And if people can listen to us, if people can listen to Africa, let SADC and let Africa, East Africa, Rapid Force, help Tanzania, help Madame Suluhu. 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 Is it Suluhu? Yes. Suluhu Hassan, to combat the ever-extending type of total oil mercenarism which is in Tanzania, which Magufuli, which might have actually killed Magufuli. I'm sorry to end on that bad note. I'm not shocked. I am not shocked. There is one point Musa Abdi Haji brought on this panel. The sale of drugs through Mozambique, the packaging of drugs, cocaine through Mozambique. Mozambique has become a conduit of cocaine trade. You know who sold cocaine to the Contra rebels in Panama? You remember who did that? You know who does that? What is the interest of Americans in Mozambique? Is it to keep the pipeline from Kabul now that East Africa blows the ships? Miriam, East Africa blows the ship. If you load the ship to arrive near Jomo's son territory, he will capture it and blow it in the waters. You remember the ship that Uhuru Kenyatta blew up in the waters? Have you ever heard of people complaining about it? They said it's a loss, Quisha. Even the cases that went to court, did you hear about them? How will you stand up and say, I want my ship compensated when it was loaded with drugs? Do you see drugs coming again in Mombasa? No. A deterrent measure, Tawish, can save a situation. Therefore, SADC, go ye, stand up, AU, go ye. Let's not allow another Somalia to breed in the southern part of Africa. Let's speak, let's take action. SADC, before these rebels become many, they are being chased in Kabul because the Taliban are squeezing an agreement with America. You know, Miriam, give me 3 minutes. You learn something here. Give me 3 minutes. What are Americans doing? The Americans have gone to Taliban. They have been talking for 1.5 and 2 months and 60 days. 2 months, 1 year, 2 months, 60 days. They have been talking in a hotel. I don't want to mention the hotel, then Israel goes to it. Israel Mossad knows where they are meeting. They have been meeting in Doha. Why is it that every problem goes to Doha? Is it because they eat very good mutton where people go? The Taliban have been meeting Americans. We in East Africa said, hello, can we proscribe Al-Shabaab, put it on terrorist list? Did you hear what they said? Did you hear what America said? Did you hear what Norway said? They came out blazing, guns blazing. They said it is very bad to proscribe Al-Shabaab. They did not value our hearts, our bodies, our membranes that have been spewed around the streets of Nairobi, of Kenya, of Uganda. They did not value that. They went on, 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 and they are talking. As I speak now, again, don't be shocked. Why is it that Eritrea is not condemned for having gone to Tigray and killed over 1 million Tigrayans? Why? 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 Why Africa? Because we are stupid, we are naive. Our intelligence systems tell us it's okay. We know. No! Eritreans invaded Ethiopia in Tigray, killed Tigrayans. Tigrayans were killed. My friends from the TPLF were slaughtered in genocide by Eritrean Efaki Ethia and Farijo Mohammed of Somalia. They must be brought on trial. Nobody is talking. While the Tigray human beings lost over 1 million people, massacred in cold blood. That's the same situation, Miriam, they want to deliver on the Southern African Peninsula. They are buying they are packaging the cocaine, taking it back to their countries, selling it out to get illicit money, to use it for counter support of opposition parties in Africa to overthrow governments. That is the truth. Otherwise, how do you tell George Soros, who lives near New York headquarters of the United Nations, he has 10 warrants of arrest in some of world countries. You have not arrested him. Miriam, how do you tell the story to your children that the man sponsoring our dismembering, our problem, our killings, is not working for the main international intelligence network, CIA, to kill more people in Africa? Why don't you arrest Mr. George Soros and charge him with crimes of money laundering? Let one African try to launder $200 only into America. Warrants of arrest will be called against you from wherever you live. Why are we not talking about this? Why don't you formulate a question around this, my dear Miriam, such that we can have a discussion one day why Musa brought this as a very important point. The place where cocaine is repackaged, and that place has been flourishing with tourists, with all manner of ships, boats, cruise. Why have we been quiet? Why is Nyusi complicit not to allow troops to come across and flush out the problem once for all? Nyusi might become, in my conclusion, submission. God forbid, a Kabila of DRC Congo. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. David Matanga. Thank you. Saxon Svina from Zimbabwe. Thank you, Darius Kirimi, Musa Abdi, Jevan Karanja, Marlene Washera, who had a bit of a technical hitch there. We did not get to hear her thoughts on this matter, but I'm sure she will join us next time. Samuel Tawish, as well as Alcatraz, and Professor Jared Unyari. According to the United Nations recent report, over 700 people have been displaced from their homes, and since January we've had more than 500,000 people in the province that have received humanitarian assistance who have moved there. So the United Nations is appealing for help, for any humanitarian help there, as now it has become a crisis, and about 160,000 of the people who have been displaced are women and adolescent girls, as well as 19,000 pregnant women that have been displaced in Cabo Delgado, and 43% of this population are children, and they've all have arrived in the districts of Nangande, Muenda, Montepuez, and Pemba since the violence erupted. And this is a story that we shall be following for you. This has been Diplomatic Leaks. And Doctor, before we leave, maybe a suggestion of what we will do on Sunday.
Yes,
a report from the United Nations Secretary General Guterres said that they are willing to lift the arms embargo on South Sudan, but the caveat is South Sudan has to implement the revitalized peace agreement of 2018. So we shall look at that. I don't want to get into that conversation because I'm hungry. I need to go have my lunch. So
I think let's put it on the main.
On Sunday.
Let it be our story that day. Let's talk South Sudan. You want to lift what?
They said they will lift arms embargo, but the caveat is South Sudan's leadership must implement the agreement that was contained in the revitalized peace agreement of 2018. So that is quite interesting there.
Then the arms do what? Why do you want to give them arms?
We will talk about it.
If they have accepted the peace, what do you want? You see, we have something which is very wrong in this AU and in UN. Let's leave it for Sunday.
For Sunday.
Please.
And also, Doctor, as we talk about that, also remember the talks that was going on in Somalia leadership on how to charter way to have elections also backfired on Wednesday. So we shall also look at that.
But I predicted that Farimajo can never hold any peace talks. Farimajo needs to be overthrown.
Sawa.
Take him out.
Aya, Sunday. Daktari, kwaheri. Kwaheri. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your weekend.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.